Welcome to MarketTamer.com. It is Tuesday, August 4th, and you're looking at a chart of the S&P 500 intraday. We can see intraday that we've got a slight pullback here. The market is pulling back, but we haven't even seen a pullback to the 5-day moving average. In fact, the trend is still certainly pointing higher. And yesterday we closed above a key level, which was 1,000. Now, even though that's a big round number and it causes a lot of focus on TV networks, the number we're paying attention to is 1,012, which corresponds to a Fibonacci retracement level, and we'll be very, very cautious once we hit that level. So taking a look at the move up from March, I'd like to pose a question to you because it was a question posed to a panelist yesterday in one of the discussions on one of the networks. And the question is to the panelist, if you had invested right around March, which the panelists had claimed, are you wealthier at this point in time? Is your net worth greater now that the market is higher? So think about that. You bought in March. We're now in early August. Market is up very considerably. Is your wealth greater than it was before? Well, probably the first obvious conclusion is, of course, my wealth is greater. I've made money. I've got in near the bottom. I'm making money since the market has rallied substantially. If I had X amount of dollars, I've now got X plus a certain other amount. For example, think about having $100,000 and turning it into $150,000. You must obviously be richer. Your wealth must obviously have grown. Except for one thing. Think about what that $100,000 is. And really what it is a means of paying for things. So you can think about it in terms of purchasing power. That if you were to spend $100,000 on something maybe 3, 4, 5 months ago, and if now those dollars didn't go as far, then has your wealth really increased? For example, if $100,000 5, 6 months ago bought the same as $150,000 today, would your wealth have increased? Well, it would not, in fact. So one way of explaining this is through the dollar chart here. And what we see is the dollar has actually weakened very considerably over the same period, from March through to August. And it continues to be weak today. We see a drop down again, almost 1% drop in the dollar again. So it's not necessarily commensurate weakness, not like for like, but it is certainly worthwhile paying attention to. The other thing is lag effects will take place. So just because the dollar is weak over any given day doesn't mean that obviously prices in stores, real estate, and the rest of the economy are reflected in real time. Nevertheless, over time, over the long term, if we see a weakening dollar in spite of a strengthening market, we're not necessarily seeing as much gain as we might think we're seeing. That is, in nominal terms, we're seeing increases in the stock market. That is, we see nominally the market is rising here, but in real terms, that is, in the sense of what we can, what our purchasing power is and how far our money actually goes when we factor in the weakening dollar and inflation effects, eroding purchasing power, etc., etc. In fact, maybe our wealth is not quite as great as we might anticipate. And what that tells you is you have to be very, very careful in these times to hedge your bets, because we've got substantial volatility. Take a look at the market just over the past year. We've had a huge move down, we've had a huge move up. That tells you we're in volatile times. The weaker the currency gets, the more you will expect volatility to take place. That means you should know how to hedge your positions. And obviously that's what we specialize here in at MarketTamer.com. If we take a look at the next chart, take a look at CAT. A lot of stocks are starting to look like this. Very, very aggressive uptrends, up over 50% in the course of 3 weeks. By any measure, that is unsustainable. It will pause at some point, we anticipate very soon, in spite of the overbought levels, that stocks can remain overbought longer than we might anticipate. But no stock ever continues at this pace forever, and we can talk more about that in classes. So please don't hesitate to ask us questions in the forums at MarketTamer.com.